All right. I had a little bit of fun with all the streaming stuff. So I've been recording these time capsules, just showing what it's like to code, to build software, whatever that means now. And it is Tuesday, July 28th. And turns out it's like 11:30 p.m. It's been kind of a busy day, but throughout the day, I've been making a bunch of small fixes, kicking off threads in AMP, and I've got some bigger stuff to go through. So my first time actually streaming like this, I'll be I don't know. We'll see. This is kind of fun. So this is all live, and you can see I got a lot of stuff queued up. Yeah, thanks. Hey guys. Yeah, we got hats. We'll send them out, and if you see us in person, we'll have some with us. All right, so it's kind of overwhelming with so many things. I think one thing we got to make it easier to see, like a better way of doing it. I really liked how Theo did the inbox. So he said, "Hey, everyone, go steal it." So maybe we will try it. First, I'm going to pop in on some of the bigger things that I was doing. I've used labels a little bit. What I've also been doing is just like writing a draft here. Kind of do that on Slack too. So basically, we're making it, in our AMP attachments, making it so that they're no longer public readable. Right now they're unguessable, so it's still secure, but we are cleaning that up. So this is kind of cool. It's like a multi-stage deploy that I've been doing, and AMP has been helping me with each step. If you remember back to the olden days, when you had a multi-stage thing, it would take so long. And the problem is, the longer it takes, the more potential conflicts you get and the more that you block other teams. So, this has been basically me switching over everything from, just ampco.com/attachments URLs to Google Cloud Storage signed URLs for all our attachments. And it's been, in this whole distributed system, it's been, pushing forward all the different things. And automations really help here because I can say things like, when it's been deployed to this thing, then go and do this, or monitor it once it's fully deployed and then run a test to make sure that everything is good. If it's not good, then DM me on Slack. So, you see these automations posting. All right. And it's kind of hard with so many things going on to keep track of everything in your mind, but I've been working on this quite a bit. So stage 3 is when we actually set up the redirects. So sometimes I like to have the agent just confirm my understanding, and I'm going to use dictation here. So I've got it mapped to control, but by default it's Command-Shift-D. So I'll say, so just to confirm, we've already made it so that all of the thread actors directly get GCS signed URLs, and that's what they provided the inference endpoints, right? Okay. Man, that's so much faster. I don't know why we need that, so I'm curious. With anything like this that could take down a bunch of stuff, if I kind of inspect and I see something like, hey, I don't know why that needs to exist, then I'm just going to ask. What is the point of this? All right, so the one thing I always wish is I want this stuff to be faster. It's kind of annoying. Let's see if I have fast mode on. I don't. I'll turn that on. There we go. But I feel like in a year, all of this stuff is just going to be so much faster. Let's pop in on some other stuff that I was working on. So here in my recent, it just got like a bunch of stuff that came in throughout the day, and I would go and kick off a fix. Like here, this is kind of a boring thing, but for our site admins, we need to have we have access to like see some things, and we need to clean that up. And this, yeah, that's right. Site admins can see like basic kind of listing information, but not much. So that looks good to me. I love the shift button. Every 1 out of every 50 times now you do the shift button, it has like a big animation. So we'll see if we get lucky. No, that was not one. All right. Here was a bug, I remember. This came from Puck, which is nice because when I'm doing stuff and like I just want the fastest way to kick something off, Puck is a really nice way to do it. Oh yeah, sorry, I'm not sharing my screen. Hey, I'm new to this. I was very passionately talking and I have not shared my screen. That's right. All right. First time streamer. Thank you. You'll have to bear with me. And I'll get a real green screen, once I get 1 million viewers, right? Okay, there. Sorry, guys. Okay. So this was just a bug, like just yet another thing. It's so low friction when you have orbs to just go, to Puck on Slack with our Slack integration, or just hit your hotkey, go over to the app and kick something off. So this was just like, there's some weird stuff. I can't show it here because we don't have enough changes, I think. Let's see. Actually, maybe I can. Yeah, like in some cases, it would show the commit message here, which just made no sense. It just didn't make sense at all. What's strange is, sometimes when you remove something, you expect to see code deleted, and I don't see code deleted, and then I see a test. This is kind of annoying. I think that this is kind of model behavior. So what I will say is, I would have expected you to remove the code that passes the commit message here. Why didn't you, and where is it coming from? So there we go. And let's see. Here, this is an issue where, yes, okay, so you're really getting to see the behind the scenes and all the stuff that we got to do to communicate like limits and payment and all. But it used to be if you were not able to use high or ultra in the CLI, then at the bottom there'd be a message and it'd be truncated. It'd be a beautiful message, but like it'd be dot dot dot. So now we show that same thing we show in the dial. And what I'm looking for here is just quick scan of the diff stat to see, are we actually reusing code? And the fact that it doesn't seem to be adding much code is good. So I'm just going to ask, are you reusing the same code that we use in the dial in the CLI to determine this, or at least to format the message? That's what I want. There we go. All right. I'm just going to bop in on a few more of these like dumb fixes, and then we'll get on to some of the bigger features that are more exciting. All right. Let's see. That one, no, we'll skip that. Here. So show me in the storybook what this looks like. I wish it had done that. And I think we need to actually make AMP a little bit more eager to show you stuff in the storybook. So let me, one way we test additions to the prompt is first we just add stuff to our own agents.md file. So I'm just going to kick that off. I mean, this is probably fine for low. So I'll say, and I'm holding down Control, add something to our agents.md so that if we ask for some visual UI change, then it responds with a link to the storybook in the dev server, so I can look at it in the portal. All right. And for those of you who are just joining, I'm just showing like what my workflow is like, this time capsule, when throughout the day I've been kicking off a bunch of prompts and threads while doing other stuff, and now I actually sit down and I can do like some of the deep focused work. Well, as deep and focused as stuff can be these days. All right, here is a cool one. We have rolled out the ability to edit messages. You can click on a message, you can edit here. We've rolled it out to everybody, and you can here, turn it on, but it's just enabled for everyone. So you might as well remove that and make it not even behind a feature flag. So this came from Puck as well, because it just came up and I just wanted to, shout something out. There was one code change that I recommended. I am like a little skeptical because it says it's doing some weird Svelte stuff, but there's a lot of Svelte stuff that we've had to do to make it so that the app feels like really fast and navigations are synchronous. So I think it's fine. We're just modifying a few things, and I like that I see overall net deletion. That's pretty good. So I'm going to ship that. We push to main. We do not require code review on the AMP team for most people on the team. If you want code review, you can get it, but we don't require it. And these days, I don't know how I could do it any other way. I cannot imagine it taking like multiple hours to fix something. That would just be so painful, and it feels like there's no way that you could keep up with what everyone demands. And even now, when we are working with other companies, there's some companies where they're like, oh, we'll put that on the roadmap and we can talk about that. And there's some where they're like, oh, yeah, we'll fix that in 3 hours. And you can imagine which kind of companies we like to work with. All right. Here's a small one. There's like a glitch where if you click on this part of the blue plus, it like doesn't work sometimes. And yeah, I don't know if I can repro it. I can kind of repro it there. Things like this, whenever there's a bug like this, it's kind of like already been through one hole of the Swiss cheese, and it's like the model has already failed to do it well, and models tend not to be good with this kind of stuff. So I'm a little nervous, and that's why I asked it when I first saw why was it set this way in the first place. So oftentimes if I get kind of sketched out by its change, I'll ask it to go through history and check. Hugo is asking what the testing stack is like once we've merged to main. We have like a pretty comprehensive CI, and we've got staging, it runs some tests, and then it goes live. So if everything goes according to plan, then after we ship, stuff will go live in about 10 or 12 minutes, which is, pretty awesome. All right. Okay. I actually feel better that was added in Feb 26. There's part of me where it's like, if a model from February added it and the model from today thinks that it's dumb, I am probably inclined to trust that the model from today is smart. This is also the kind of change where like it's not catastrophic if this is wrong, and I will try it out once it is shipped. So these are pretty easy ships. This was a cool one. So, Adam is the Tailwind guy, and Thorsten was talking to him today at Laracon in Boston, and we were just like admiring how Adam did a really great job with Tailwind of getting people to try and eventually love something Tailwind that felt so wrong initially. So one cool thing with AMP is like it's a general purpose agent. The whole coding agent is dead post that we did in February. The whole point is you can't keep a coding agent in the box labeled coding agent anymore. So, it's fun to ask AMP to go and do some research and you make recommendations. We're feeling this way with orbs right now, where there's something that feels different about working with orbs, and we want to figure out how to communicate that to everyone. And we're not sure. So if you have ideas, let us know. But I've gotten what I need from that, so I will archive that. Here. Yes, I remember this one. When did I do this one? This was 6:10 this morning. So I don't know, about 18 hours ago. And I asked it to make me a video. Basically, we've got this multiplayer feature, and the animation for when you send a message in multiplayer looks a little bit different from how it looks when you send it in single player mode. And I want to clear that up, obviously. So let's see how it did. Here, I'll not make it full screen so it's a little more legible. Okay, good. Yeah, it's got the animation and it stays on the right. That looks good, and not that many lines of code added. Meta, yeah, that makes sense. Meta, I think that's where we store like who it's from. So it makes sense that we'd have to thread that through. I'm a little sketched out by this like single use. Oh no, it's double use function. Yeah, okay, looks good. Just to show like how I got a video here, We didn't do anything special to make it so AMP can record videos in our repo. I basically just, I think I asked for the video up here and show me a video of sending a message in a normal thread, and then it does it. So pretty neat. I will ship that. Yeah. Will's asking about the iOS and Mac OS app. We're coming out with like native-ish apps. They will be native-ish, so pretty much using the web view. Even the things that we do to make the progressive web app like draggable and all this window controls overlay stuff, like we just bring that into the native app. So hopefully there's going to be a lot of parity there. But this is a good forcing function for us to make it easy to use like Mac OS or Darwin orbs. And then we'll have to figure out CI as well. All right, what do we have now? Here. Okay, so basically I just asked it to reuse code. And there. This is showing that warning label. So that looks better. All right. I will ship it. And let's see what we have next. This sticky header. Yeah. The thing that showed the commit there. Man, there's so much context that you got to keep in your head when you're juggling so many things. No, we're not using Tori. We're just using like WK WebView on iOS and Mac OS. I think that's like super lightweight. I think that'll work pretty well. All right. So yeah, we're passing it in the section label field. Okay. I don't ever want you to pass the commit message in the section label. So kill that at the source rather than the other changes you made. And also don't keep that stupid test that checks for the omission of something. Yeah, GPT-5.6 seems to be adding a lot of tests that, confirm that something is not there. Which makes sense in some cases, but it's a little too eager to do that. All right. Yeah. All right. So let's get to like a feature. A lot of people have asked for a way to switch accounts in AMP, like to go down here and have a switch accounts thing to maintain multiple accounts. And we want to add that, especially because now that we have these native apps coming out, it's not as easy to use like multiple Chrome profiles. So I think I kicked this off on, let's see, what day? Yeah, it would have been Sunday. My daughter was at her swimming lesson. I was sitting at the pool on my iPad. Yeah, Hugo, we'll take live feature requests. I mean, what excuse do I have to not? The whole point is this should make it so easy. So yeah, send them over. But yeah, my daughter was just in her swimming lesson. So I was at the pool on my iPad and I kicked this off. Just seeing videos is so helpful for this kind of stuff. And let's see what it looks like. So yeah, down there, you got the switch account there. I don't really like how that checkbox looks. It should be like a circle. Oh, this is a cool pattern. So when the AMP web app is running in dev mode, we expose some like magic login routes where if any browser or any client goes to that __ dev route and puts in an email, then it automatically logs them in as that email. Obviously, this is only in dev, but it makes it so much easier for the agent to go and log in to the app. Like we've seen a lot of times where someone sets up their app and like the agent struggles to like go through the Google OAuth process. And it's no wonder because Google wants no bot to ever go through that process. So it makes it very hard. So set up these magic links in your web app and it makes it so much easier for the agent to use it. All right. So let's see now, you can see we've got multiple things. Got that little switch. The UI looks like a little bit off. All right. So this is the kind of thing where I want to kick off like a review of it. And then let's try it. And I'll make it full screen so other people can see it. I'm using a portal, which is basically the dev server that the agent has been working on, but accessible at some URL. Yeah, people like the account switcher. Oh, the message timestamp. Okay, while we're waiting for this to load, I'll explain why this can be slow to load, but while we're waiting for it to load, to get the message timestamp, you just click on the message up there. And you can also hold down the Option or Alt key. There you go. And that's also how you get to edit, which we, like 5 minutes ago, just shipped. All right, so here. Why is this slow sometimes? Well, it's like you're so used to dev servers on localhost. And if we actually look, it's like loading so many different modules. Each of them is a round trip. So Vite has this new thing like the Vite full bundle mode that will make it, bundle dev mode. It's going to make this a lot faster. This came just in time. Basically, this means your dev server, when it's not running on localhost, it doesn't need to have like every single module sent as a separate request to the client. But in the meantime, it's kind of annoying. And I'm actually surprised that it's still loading. Usually it should not take this long, but sometimes we do see some requests get trapped. And like the annoying thing is, because it's server-side rendered, our app is not like responsive until then. So let's so sometimes we can reload. This is one of the reasons why portals are out, but we haven't announced them yet, because I really want to fix things like this. It's going to work totally fine if you have like a much smaller app that you're running, but if you've got a fairly substantial app with a lot of modules, then it can be pretty painful. And I'm also wondering maybe if Chrome would be better. I usually use Chrome, so let's give that a try too. Of course, now I'm just sending a lot more requests to it, so it might be slower. All right. Yeah, actually, this one seemed a lot faster. So that one already loaded. Let's do the account switcher. And I think we need the feature flag. Actually, this is kind of annoying. I think it added a new feature flag, and I don't have it in this user account. So what I will say is, I'll dictate, add the feature flag that my local user needs to be able to use this. It's kind of annoying that I got to wait for the Oracle to do this. So actually what I can do, we've got this plugin that lets you, ask a side question, and it basically just runs like another AMP in there. It's something we'd love to fix from a product point of view to make it so you can like dual stream a conversation. Another thing you could do if like the Oracle is working and you want to do something quick with the agent, you can go over to the terminal tab that's running in this orb, and you can run AMP in the terminal, and you can, say the same thing. I'll run them both. I've got the other one running, and I think they'll both do the same thing. So I think it'll probably be fine. GitLab integration. When is the GitLab integration coming? You actually can use GitLab now. It's a little bit manual. Let's see. Let me pull up exactly how you do it. Here we go. Yeah, so, okay, you go to projects, new project, existing, and here, instead of putting in like a GitHub URL, you'd put in your GitLab URL, whatever. And then you go and create it. And then you need to do one thing, which is just set up some Git config so it uses your credentials. You basically put this in your your environment variables. So I'll post that, or I'll go post that in the chat now. It's just an environment variable that tells Git what to do. Okay, yeah, the workaround. It's not practical. I agree. There we go. All right. I hope that thing posted. This is my first stream, so still getting used to all this. We will add first class support. Byung is working on it, so we'll make that much better. All right. So it's adding the feature flag for me. Here, let's see if it's already done that. Oops. Going back to localhost. Let me open up the portal again. Oh, maybe I was on localhost before. All right, well, let's check Safari. Safari's loaded here. Okay, yeah, I was on the wrong thing on Chrome. There we go. So let's try it. Now, one of the funny things is when you're like running AMP inside AMP, this is like a portal of AMP inside AMP. There's some weird things where like the same app running inside the same app, it's like you hit some weird edge cases. And also things like auth or things that deal with Work OS, those don't tend to work with like nested things as well. But let's give it a try. I mean, it was able to get a video of it, so clearly it worked. So, okay, that's my one account and add account. This is our new account switcher that it built for me. Oops, it reloaded. That's probably because it changed some files or something. So there we go. Add account, let's see what it does. Okay, and so this is that kind of pattern we use in local dev. I will say, sign me in as Byung. This is just on the dev server, so it's not actually his real account, just his name. All right, let's see. So here we just got to wait. Yeah, there we go. That was much faster. And Byung, so his user doesn't have this feature flag to do switch accounts. So, okay, this is annoying. What I'm going to do is just say, if I'm adding a feature and I ask to try it out in the portal and it has a feature flag, then always add the feature flag to my local user in the local database. Update this in our agents.md guidance or wherever else you think makes sense. I don't want to have to deal with like telling it to go add a user, for feature flag ever again. That's just annoying. And we can go back here and say, all right. So we'll wait for it to be added to his, but so far it worked. It's kind of cool. And for those of you who are just joining in, this is my first time streaming. So thank you. Thanks for joining. This is fun. And yeah, feature flag should be there pretty soon. All right, switch account. And that little blue thing means it's a beta or alpha feature for us. All right, let's try it out. I am Byung, and now I will switch to my own account. All right, let's see. Moment of truth. Hey, it worked. All right. That's pretty cool. And I actually like the way that it implemented it. Basically, we'll store all of your session cookies as cookies, and we will designate which one is like the active one. So that means that when you switch, you don't need to go through the whole like Work OS OAuth process again. It just like immediately resumes using that session cookie. So that's a pretty cool pattern. All right. Oh yeah, this is the BTW response, but same thing that I did over here. And if you actually recall, in a previous time capsule, this was not rendered as Markdown, and now it is, and that looks so much nicer. Wow. All right. There we go. Okay, the Oracle is spoken. We'll get some security review feedback on that. So I think that's good for now over there.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
No, somehow
Feedback occurs when outputs of a system are routed.
Hey Siri, stop.
As part
My Siri triggered. All right. How do we handle secrets? Oh man, we are doing a lot of stuff. Okay, so like the basic way is you can have. Let me pull up like one of these projects. You can define your own secrets per project, per user, or for your workspace. We do all the things you'd expect. But there's a lot of stuff around like temporary access grants for the agent, and I would really recommend looking at Camden's post that uses where is it? Secrets, yes, OIDC. So we're doing a bunch of stuff where AMP is able to get a temporary read-only credential to certain things in GCP, like logs or our database, and that like goes beyond secrets. It's better than a secret because it like requires human intervention, someone to go approve it. It keeps it on a tighter leash, but it makes us comfortable with letting it do a little bit more. So this is a really interesting pattern. Um, we have stuff in the manual, and if you've got something that looks like one of these, if you just give AMP this link or the manual link, then it's probably going to figure out, at least guide you how to set up this kind of workflow. But like a lot of times when we ask AMP to do something ops related, the first thing it'll ask for is go approve this PAM grant in the Google Cloud Console, and then we have to go do that manually. And it's always read only, which is really nice. It's also really nice to do this in an orb because on our own machines, it's at least theoretically possible for it to somehow figure out how to get a write token to like, some actual thing on GCP, because we do need a way to do that. And we know that in an orb, unless it like totally breaks containment and finds like a 0 day in GCP, there's no way for it to get a write credential to these things. So you might think that doing these things locally is safer, but actually we feel that doing it in an orb, like there's no way for it to get write access to things. Makes us feel better. And yeah, the 1Password thing that came out looks really interesting, and we are looking into that too. We just switched how we do a bunch of secrets in our own repo. All right, let's go back to all of the things that we were bopping along. We really gotta. This sidebar does not scale. Believe me, we know it's a mess. It's not fun. We will figure something better. All right. Yeah. Let's let me take a. Well, I can go look at its security review feedback about the account switching later. You probably don't want to see me just sit here and think quietly for a while. Yeah, if a thread spins up other threads, they should be nested in the sidebar. Yeah, I think so. But then we only want one level of nesting, and yeah, I don't want like that could also make it more complex. So I think there's something there, but we got to find what it is. All right, let's go back to this GCS serving thing. So this is a cool feature, actually. Let me explain the overall context here. We're moving to making it so that you can upload like arbitrary files into AMP up to like 500 megabytes. That's really cool because you can upload videos, you can upload like text files, you can upload really big log files and have it do analysis and all that. And part of it is if you're going to be uploading all this stuff, people are going to upload absolutely wild stuff. I feel that it'd be irresponsible if our attachments are just unguessable URLs, because even if it's unguessable, I think some people might not realize that and share the attachment URL, and I don't like that. So we want to lock down how our attachments are stored as part of making it so you can upload just anything. All right. And first we need to make sure that we're sending a Google Cloud Storage signed URL to all of the inference endpoints. So when we go to like OpenAI or Anthropic and run inference and you have an image, we need to give it an image URL or image base64 data, but we got to give it a publicly accessible URL. So if we're going to lock down our own image URLs, we have to give it a signed Google Cloud Storage URL. So that's the work here. And let's see, signed URL. Okay. Cool. All right. Assign URL lasts for. Where are we caching this? Just want to inspect here and make sure that I have a good understanding of this. All right, here's another thing that I've been pushing along. This is another like multi-stage thing. Basically, the way we've been in fast mode up till now has been like a different setting for Anthropic versus OpenAI versus other things. We want to add GLM 5.2 fast mode or Kimi K3 fast mode. We also want to make it so that if you're on a ChatGPT sub, then you have a way to use higher effort levels on GPT 5.6 than Medium will offer and still have it go through your ChatGPT sub. So this is kind of like you're seeing behind the scenes, but moving from like provider specific fast or speed options to like a more generalized features that you can pass, that will let us do all of those things much better. But it's the classic thing where people have this setting set, people have like state set, it's a distributed system, and how do you migrate all of that safely? Yeah. So this is final fast cleanup is almost done, or is staged. So this is the final step, and just reading. So much of my when I'm building stuff now, it's like getting the context back into my head because I'm juggling so many more things than I used to. All right. So summarize what this final change does and any negative ramifications for users in like 10 sentences or less. It's kind of dumb. Like sometimes that just helps me get context. And then I'm going to look here. And what I'm looking for is like, is this a bunch of UI changes or what? I'm looking for things that like kind of freak me out. So here, I think, this is kind of removing one of the migration functions that we have. So I like that. I like, generally removing code. I like a lot that this is a big net deletion of code. That makes me happy. Sometimes I'll ask the agent, can you do this again, but find a way to achieve a net deletion of code? And that often leads to good results. So yeah, I like that this is doing stuff. What I don't like is this is one of these like trivial wrapper functions. GPT 5.6 seems to do this a lot. Folks, I promise you, we try to prompt it to not do this, but it still does. So let's give it some feedback here. This is a trivial wrapper function, just inline it. And if there's any other functions that as a result of your changes are now just trivial wrappers, then inline those as well. Man, dictation, I don't know how I would live without it. If you are not dictating your prompts, it is the fastest way to get bits of information from your brain to the agent. You gotta dictate your prompts. And dictation works in all the main text areas in AMP, or you can use something like Super Whisper. But the nice thing about AMP is it'll do higher accuracy dictation because it's got context about what is in the conversation. All right. It's kind of a weirdly formatted thing in Markdown. Like the line breaks are not there. I don't know. I find that weird. I'm not sure what happened, but this is the kind of thing where the friction is so low that I am going to go and make a report. We love it when folks hit an issue in AMP and they send us one of these AMP report IDs. It gives us all the context we need to go point AMP at the problem and fix it. So there we go. I'll say, the assistant response that starts with, quote, the final change it looks weird in Markdown. It's like a bunch of sentences and there's no line breaks between them. Maybe it's like manual BR tags or something, but it just looks weird. First, check to make sure that nothing changed recently about our Markdown CSS or rendering, and then see why the agent might have responded in this way. It's just kind of hard to read. All right, so look, I've been building software for a while. I know that there's a lot of teams who would be using their product and would see that and just be like, I'm not going to look into that. How would I even file that issue in GitHub? And it's going to be low priority. I'm not going to do it. But the beauty of agents now is when you see it, you can just, kick something off to go and fix it. Do we try to lint for stuff like trivial wrappers? We, we've got some lint things, but I don't know if we have that. So you know what we should do? Add a new AST grep rule that flags if there are TypeScript functions that are trivial wrappers. And what I mean by that is where there's a function that just has a single expression or statement that just calls another function with the same arguments and no other transformation of the arguments. Find those and see if this is a useful rule and report to me how many hits it has. Thank you, Jonas. We'll see. I actually just ran a thread yesterday to clean up like 150 of them. And I should have also made a lint rule for it. All right, so I'm just scanning here. Yep, -- fast. That's the new feature. All right. So yeah, some users will lose a save pass preference, but it was already kind of undefined how that was stored. Now it's much more consistent. And it's less likely to turn on when you don't want it. Yeah. Okay. This looks good. Oh yeah, Arvis, that we are changing that. I think Brett is doing that already. I'll just check. When you gift someone a subscription, the offer includes their email address. I think that Brett on our team is already fixing that, so it doesn't show their email address. It can show their name and their username, but don't show their email address. If Brett's already fixing it though, or if he's got a thread in progress, that's fine. You can just archive yourself and not go any further. And also write a database migration that would change the offer messages for any existing offers that have already been created so that they no longer contain the person's email address. So what's cool about that is not only is it easy to go and fix that going forward, but it's also easy to just say, yeah, have the database migration go and clear that up for any ones that have already been created. Again, the agent's time is not precious, but your time is precious. So that's the one of the key insights here. Okay. Yeah, this is good. So I'm going to ship this. It's not done, but often if I have high confidence that it's going to be good, then even while it's still working, I will ship it. This is the kind of thing that, requires you to just have a really kind of deep understanding of, is it on the right track? And a lot of experience there. Oh, Brett, the man himself. All right. Then I guess I can close that. Thank you, Brett. Brett confirmed that is already underway. Okay. Yeah, this just, that looks good. And that looks good. Okay, what next? Here's a kind of cool one. So OpenAI just came out with a new transcribe model. So I think it was on Saturday or Friday night, really recently, when we shipped the dictation in AMP, that little microphone, that thing that people love, with the GPT-4o transcribe. GPT transcribe is cheaper, although it's so cheap that doesn't really matter that much, but it's presumably a lot better. So, what I said when I saw that come out, I just went to AMP and I dictated this. So, gave me the price difference. The diff is actually quite small. That's not that surprising. I mean, I wonder even what changes it made. Okay, so now, yeah, it looks like the API for this new model has a first-class way of providing the keyword hints. That makes sense. Okay, we update our pricing. I don't like that it doesn't keep both pricings around because we in general we want to have all the historical pricing as well. I'm nervous that this only has the new pricing and not the old pricing as well. It might be possible that we need to recalculate pricing based on the token inputs or results for a request that use the old model. So figure out a way so that this function also takes as input the transcription model and knows the different pricing of the two different models. If there's some reason why this is a bad idea, then let me know. All right. For those of you who joined, like just kind of going through a day in the life, how I use AMP. This is what I'd be doing anyway. So there's no like real end to this. This is my first time streaming like this. Welcome and post anything. So yeah, Oliver's asking, when you do that, do you generate an artifact like a spec or just straight implement? I mean, I think you're referring to this kind of thing. For this kind of thing, you don't need a spec. I mean, no. If there's something that's a lot more complex, then I will have it show me a plan and I'll just ask it to make me a plan. But like in 2 sentences, I was able to do this. And this, like, I think there's also something about this being like a new feature. It's probably not going to lead to really bad results. If it does, then we can fix them really fast. It's cheap. It's not going to, waste people a lot of money. So this is a fairly low risk thing. And, I feel comfortable moving fast with this kind of thing. Okay. So yeah, it took the vocabulary out of like a generic text prompt. It's adding it as a, first class thing. I'm also just curious how the keywords are provided. How do we need to format the keywords that we pass? Do we need to split them on like white space or commas or whatever? And do we need to give the user guidance on how they input them in their advanced settings where the input field is? Okay. I like that we've got both. Yeah. Okay. So there we go. And then this should be something that we can use in the portal. So let's try it out. It's probably going to be hard to tell the difference, but we'll see. So what is it doing now? It's running our dev server because it actually has not run our dev server yet. So it's not like pre-initialized. Sometimes in its work, it will run the dev server to try it, but here it didn't. Probably would have been nice for it to test it, but I didn't ask for it to do that. I don't always want it to do that. So there we go. While that's loading, I was setting up the little streaming thing and we've got some other, there we go. Yeah, you can see that. It's kind of fun. All right, the portal's coming up. One of the biggest complaints people have is they want the orbs to be faster. So we hear you. I think in this case, this is our app being slow to load because there's a lot of modules, but that's also a pattern that we want to help with. The V bundle dev mode should help a lot with it. And then I need to look into this more, but I do find that sometimes it is faster to load it in the browser. I think that the browser might be able to do more caching in some cases. And that's why portals are out, but we haven't announced them yet because we want to knock through some of these things yet. All right, so now I'm in the GPT transcribe agents local dev server, and I'm just waiting for the modules to load. Here you can see it's like thousands of files for our dev server. And that can be slow when it's not on localhost. But it's going along. All right, each is one literal term, so we should not. Okay, so yeah, it found some extra guidance here. I'll show you what I mean by that. Like in the dictation vocabulary, we've got this thing in advanced settings. We'll find a better place to put it, but this is what I mean. Like right now, it says enter terms separated by commas or white space. Now that the API expects it a little bit more structured, we need to say commas or new lines, I think. So that makes sense. All right. The app is ready here in the portal, so I can try it here. Sometimes in iframes, there's weird things. There, yeah. Actually, that is strange that it's not going to the mobile view. All right, let's kick off a thread to fix that. And I just noticed another bug. I don't know if you noticed this, but I just noticed another one. When we're running AMP in the portal in an iframe, if the window is narrow, the new thread dialog doesn't show the mobile view. This might be because it's looking for the overall screen width, or it might be because it is not doing that if it's running in a PWA or something. But here's a screenshot, figure out why, and make it so that in this case, it would have collapsed the new thread dialog options like new orb and no project. All right, we'll kick that off. And then I want to show the other thing that I noticed, which is if I have an image and I paste it, you're going to notice that it grows by like 1 pixel. Yep. All right. So I will fix that. In the new thread dialog, when I paste an image, the new thread dialog grows by like 1 or 2 pixels. I think that this is because the height of the image previews after I paste them is slightly higher than the compact image picker default height when there's no previews. Fix this ideally by making it so that I think the border, the focus ring might be adding more height. And if we can do it inset or something else, there might be a better solution. Anyway, fix it. Okay, so now we are here. We can make this a little bit bigger, and we will see. And this is the new OpenAI GPT transcribe model. Hello, testing. Hello, testing. Okay, there we go. I mean, that was an easy one. It says it's better at other languages. Let's have a little bit of fun. Let's pull out my knowledge. All right. 1 sec. Okay. Hello, testing. ¿Tienes hambre? Ni hao. Ni hao ma. Je suis américain. Sorry to those of you that actually speak those languages better. Wow. Hey, that's pretty good. I mean, sometimes you just gotta, like, your mind, this stuff is so cool to work with. It's like, that is magic. So cool. All right. I mean, it seems to work. It's cheaper, 25% cheaper. That did pretty well. So, I don't know. I think that I should ship it. With anything that does involve billing, even though this is so cheap, I do want to just, give it another 1 over. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, we're doing that. Looks good. Yeah, I mean, this is such a simple change. It's pretty cool that it was so easy. I don't think we need that. By the way, the diff editor is editable. Watch, I've selected that and I press delete. So I could have also prompted the agent to delete that for me, but you don't need to do that. All right, let's ship it. And then we ship the new model. Pretty cool. All right. Making the product a little bit better. So now you can try in other languages and all of that. So that will go live in about 10 minutes. What does post ship look like at AMP? Oliver asks, are those raised as PRs? Nope, those go to main. So like when you press ship, by default in AMP, this is literally what is sent to the agent. Ship it to origin main. Now you can set it, your repo to instead, push to a branch, or you can have it do something else. You could have it like mark this thing in Jira as done or whatever. But our view is that so much of this whole process is changing when you have an agent. And that means that if you have a trusted team that is using an agent and reviews the agent's code or work, then overall, from a quality point of view, in most cases, you should push to main. That's the way to achieve the best quality. That's the way to make the best product. And if you like using AMP, then you like using a product of working that way. So yes, straight to main, baby. That's right. Okay, let's pop back in on this bad boy. All right. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, we have it cache the redirect. That makes sense. Okay. By the way, I know, another complaint is with slow orbs, sometimes the diff can take a while to show up. We've got stuff that caches this now, so it should show up instantly. I'm actually, I don't know why it didn't in that case, but I know that that's something in Flux that Lewis is working on. All right, so this basically sets up the redirect. And what I just needed to make sure is, we're not sending these URLs that will redirect to OpenAI and Anthropic in our inference payloads, which we are not. And I've already asked it that. I like this. So yeah, and this is something that gets us very close to letting you upload any file as an attachment. So I'm excited about that. And I will say, this is the thread that will follow up. I'll say, before you archive this, but after you've shipped it, tell this thread that it should rebase against origin main and see what else is left to do to lock down the attachment endpoints so that only people that are authorized to view the thread that the attachment is associated with, or if there's no thread, only the user and people in their workspace can see the attachment. Okay, so this takes advantage of AMP's ability for agents to communicate with each other. And before this ships, it's going to basically, go send a message here. Okay. Oh yeah, we reset agent usage for a lot of people because AMP was too eager to start new child threads in the high and ultra modes. I hope you got good results for that, but a lot of people wouldn't have needed that much firepower. So we tweaked the prompt and we reset everyone's usage there. Okay. So this is the Ask User Choice tool where it can present this nice little dialogue to me. This is just a plugin, and our plugin API actually lets you, show this kind of UI in AMP, in the web, and in the CLI, so you can use it to make these Ask User Choice tools. What is it asking me? How should I? Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm going to look into this a little bit more. Tell me more about the upstream change, who did it and why. So there's like a multi-stage change that I've been doing, and I don't want to break anything, so I will wait for its advice there. All right. Here we go. So this was one of the ideas that someone on the stream had to make a new AST grep rule in our repo to avoid trivial function wrappers. And yeah, let's here have it. Okay, go fix all of the things that it found, and also make sure that if the trivial function wrappers had helpful JS docs or line comments, that those are not just deleted, that whatever information is conveyed by those is ported to the call site. Okay, so I'll see what it actually does there. Okay, here's another thing. I think this is, yeah, like if you've got a message that is on the left, then the ... should be on the right. So, kind of a small thing, but we will see. And yeah, I mean, that's the general idea. It doesn't show the ... but I presume that if I actually open it up, because the ... requires you to hover, then I can see it here. So let's see. Oh no, actually this is, oh yeah, okay, I will ask it. In that storybook, I don't see the ... for anything. I don't expect to see the ... but I do expect to see a timestamp when I click on the messages or hover or hold Alt or Option for other users. And when it's a message from Puck or another thread or an automation, then I do expect to see the ... which would let me edit, or maybe not edit. I don't think we need that, but at least delete. So I don't see that in the storybook. Make it so the storybook shows that timestamp and ... when relevant as well. Okay. There we go. All right. What else? Here we go. Okay. Commit. Now, show me or help me understand what the section header is for. I would have thought that it was only for files. Why would there ever be a section header for a commit? Much easier just to ask the agent for help when you're not quite sure. All right. So this is when the markdown looked weird, and I pasted it, this AMP report ID. Again, thank you to everyone when they report an issue who includes that the first time. I've actually got a keyboard shortcut, SRDI. I don't know why it's not going there. That's weird. But it like types it. Yeah, actually that is weird. Why it's not there? Okay, well, let's ask, actually. I have a macOS text replacement that works in the new thread dialog, but it doesn't work in our prompt editor for some reason. Figure out why and fix this. All right. So this is a model formatting choice. Let's see. What should we do here? Breaks. Sometimes I say investigate how other similar products do this, like GitHub rendering in GitHub issues on the web or in gists or readmes or Codex, CLI, or OpenCode or Pi. That's nice. Yeah, I'll use medium mode if it's like, for most things. We do have this nice visualization of what modes people use at ampco.com/modes. So this row is everyone, and then this one is our team. And for our team, medium is the most popular mode, like 40% of usage, 65% of usage for everyone else. All right. Here, this is I see. So we were only this, I don't know if it's probably hard for all of you to have all this context, but again, the point of this is just to show like what my workflow's like. And here, this is when in the portal iframe over on the right, it got really scrunched, and we have a way on mobile to show it nicely, but it wasn't doing that. So I think it makes sense. Oh, there's another one of those trivial functions. But yeah, I think it makes sense to show the collapsed command palette if the window's narrow, even if we're not on mobile. But, one thing I like to do is check the commit and thread that introduced this and see if there was an explicit intent to not make it show up more compact on desktop. One of the awesome things about AMP, where it stores all the threads and includes the thread URL in the commit message, is you can ask it to go look for the human intent for a given change. And that is really helpful in things like this, where I don't know, I think it was Tim Lucas on our team who did this. I don't know if he had a good reason for not showing the more compact view on desktop. And yeah, then here's a trivial function. This is a trivial wrapper function now, just inline it. And also, now that we are not showing the command palette differently on mobile versus desktop, we're just showing it differently based on the width of the screen, then I think you can remove this. But if there's other behaviors in the command palette that do change depending on whether it's actually mobile, then keep this. And you actually probably should go back to checking the can hover and course pointer props as well. All right. By the way, AMP dictation, one of the cool things that you get is it knows your code. So when I said can hover and course pointer, it knew to format those as lower camel case. Just a nice little thing. And that's why if you're in AMP, even if you're using Super Whisper, like operating system wide, AMP's dictation will often give better results. Okay. I'll send that. Here we go. This was when, you pasted an image and it like layout shifted by like 1 or 2 pixels. Yeah, by 2 pixels. There we go. And what is the fix here? Okay. It gave me a Storybook link, which is nice. I don't know if it's because it had already picked up the change that we made to the agents.md or not. It's kind of hard to tell from this view, but if I just go to the dev server, I can try it out. There's like no way to know if this actually fixed it in this particular case other than just trying it. So here we go. Let's get a screenshot. And moment of truth, I'm going to paste it. Nice. I saw no layout shift there. That is very good. Okay. But I also don't see any... yeah, clipping the ring. So here, if I do it, it's very meta. But when I hover, there. So, it got the layout shift thing right. But now when I hover over the previews, I only see a very faint ring around them. I think that we are chopping that off now. If needed, we can add a transparent border around the paperclip icon to make it so that it reserves the space or something. All right. So whenever the agent gets something wrong, even though like this is probably the kind of thing that for today's models and for, my appetite for waiting, I probably like would just go check. It's also like, how could the agent have not made this mistake? And probably it's by taking images of when it hovers synthetically in the browser and not, and comparing those. I think it also could have helped me spot that faster if it had shown me a video. So with stable portals, all this stuff becomes easier, and you can expect us to, push even further in having the agent do more verification beforehand. All right, so there, I'm already seeing the outline there. I'll paste another image and see if there's a layout shift. No layout shift. That's good. So yeah, it is looking good, and its fix made sense. So at this point, it's not done, but there's a visual thing. I feel comfortable shipping this. Here we go. All right, so this is why my macOS text replacements were not working in here. It's actually really annoying. I don't know if you use macOS text replacements, but in Discord, it doesn't work, and it's really annoying. So I'm sorry to anyone where they missed theirs in AMP. Now we figured out the reason why, and we will fix it. Okay. What are we doing here? Off. Okay, yeah. So we were actually setting it to off on desktop, which, yeah. Okay. Undefined. So it's like the default. Yeah, that looks good. All right. Fix that little nit. So folks, when you send us feedback, we love feedback because it's easy for us to fix, as you can see. Okay. So here's where I think I asked it to improve the storybook. Yes. Okay. So now I see that. That is good. I don't see the ... And that also feels like way too high up. It's also kind of duplicative with the date, which I don't like. It's also weird how that is not that high up. Okay. Yeah, this change doesn't look that promising. I don't like that this, no, I'll start over. Okay. All right. When there's a message bubble from somebody else that already shows the date, which I think they all do, then don't show the timestamp line and the ... at all. If we're showing the timestamp for ourselves already, then don't. No, actually, I mean, yeah, I wonder what to do from a design point of view, because we're showing this, and I think it's nice to show that. But I think, yeah, let's see. Make it so that messages on the left and right have a mirrored context line above, so that if when they're on the left, the avatar is flush with the gutter, make it so that when the messages are on the right, the avatar is flush with the gutter. So when messages are on the right, the avatar should be the rightmost thing, and then it should be the name, and then it should be the time ago. So basically, they should be mirrored. And make it so that the ... menu is the leftmost thing when the message is on the right. And don't show it in a line above. And also don't show the timestamp there. That's no longer needed. So really combine the components that show the avatar, the name, the relative time, and the ... and the absolute time, and just figure out what to show based on what makes sense. And to be clear, we do want to show the absolute time if it's not a multiplayer thread, and we want to show the relative time if it is a multiplayer thread. So I'm not totally sure about that design decision, but seems fine for now. And we can, by that I mean we can take a look at it and see if that makes sense. And I can also share it with our team and our designers. I can say multiplayer, and I'll say DM Tim, Lucas, and Brett on Slack, and also include me, and ask them for their design input there on how we should show relative dates versus absolute dates in single player and multiplayer, and the mirroring of messages on the left and right. There we go. So it'll send them a DM, it'll link them to this, then they can go in and like send replies to it and actually change it, which is pretty cool. All right, what else do we have? I'm just going to keep doing my work here. If people want to see particular things, then call it out. But I'm feeling productive. Okay. So this is something where I'm trying to reduce the initial bundle size for the AMP web app. And we're deferring some stuff, we're minifying, and then deferring some other stuff. So let's see. That's that's pretty good. All right. 47.9% reduction in the initial bundle size needed for hydration. That seems pretty good. This is where I definitely want to test it. So I want to test it in a full browser so I get the full dev tools. So we'll get that kicked off. Oliver's asking when I would use plugins. For most of my work, I just use the dial and these. Let's see. Oh, I don't know what that is. I don't know. Sometimes there's things that I don't even recognize yet because people are doing stuff. Maybe I shouldn't show these just in case there's stuff that we're not supposed to share. Usually just when I want to try out new models, really for testing. Pretty soon you'll actually be able to launch a bunch of threads in different models and do the same work so you can compare, which would be pretty cool. Like the create thread tool internally will let you specify plugin modes as well. All right, here. So what I was testing, I'll open it in Safari. Here, what I'm testing is a much faster initial bundle that cuts the time that it takes for the app to become responsive, or the byte size by 50%, which is nice. So what did it defer? Let me see what it deferred. The fonts. It deferred Puck and onboarding and project dialogues. Okay. So let's give it a try. Just want to make sure that Puck is working. There we go. And I also wanted to make sure that there wasn't a delay when you do Puck, because even though it's deferred, as soon as hydration is done in our SvelteKit app, it should load that. And there was no delay there. But there was a slight delay when loading the math fonts, which I think is fine. But that saves a lot of load time. There, okay, that's good. I will refresh. I think this should also actually make the portal load a lot faster, because a lot less bytes, a lot less modules needed to be transferred. Okay, Puck again was instant, and I think the fonts now are cached, so that's also good. Okay, yeah, that actually seems like a really nice win. Before this is archived and after this is shipped, post a 1-sentence message to the shipped channel saying by how much we reduced the initial hydration bundle size. And we did this by deferring the load of, dot, dot, dot. All right. And then AMP knows that, then if I go ship this, there. Oh, why? Yeah, it just renamed some things. Wonder why it renamed some things. I'm actually curious about that. Why did you rename two JPEG files? Oh, it's funny. Dictation got that wrong. I guess that's ambiguous in English too. All right. I also want to check. Will this mean that we don't preload the fonts for the homepage either? What negative ramifications does that have? And is it possible to preload all the non-KTEX fonts? All right, that's where dictation didn't do well. I probably would have figured it out, but I would have hoped that it would have known that. Yeah, so Nikolai and Hitesh on the team, well, Oliver, the ones who mainly do the model testing. So I've not actually tried Opus 5 except for like one or two random things that much. Like if it was a model that seemed incredibly promising, that would be different, but I just haven't, there's enough other interesting stuff going on that testing Opus 5 hasn't been a priority. But if it, was, then I would try the mode for sure. Like when GPT-5.6 was, out, we had our hands on it early, or Fable, then that was definitely enough of a draw to go try it. Okay. Oh, interesting. All right. Oh, yeah, that's a weird thing about Lightning CSS, our minifier, or something like that. Okay. So we're almost there, almost ready to do a pretty nice thing that will speed up the web app for a lot of folks. All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. I do think labeling this as commit is better. So yeah, I'll ship this. There we go. All right. I'm going to do a hard reload of the app because we've shipped a few improvements. It'll show that little update available reload every 4 hours or something, but we ship more often than that. So I like to hard reload every once in a while. Okay. Okay, this is a remote control thread that I was running just to set up some hotkeys. I have a little app. So I'll just say commit this and push it and then archive this thread. That one we're done with. Okay. All right, so this is where the markdown rendering looked weird, and I had it go look and see what other products do to see if we are the odd one out here. Okay. All right, so it looks like this is not something that's really worth fixing. It's a rare model behavior. I'd never seen it before, so I think that's fine to keep. All right. What? It's just something to optimize WebSockets. Okay. What else are we waiting on? I think I've like made it through a lot of the things that I wanted to do. There's a lot of like other junk in here, and we really got to make the sidebar better for juggling a lot of this stuff. It's like we're really pushing it to the breaking point. Okay, let's check on fast mode. Let me see. I think that this actually did hit in the multi-stage deployment. It did have a bug that some users hit. Pre-warmed actor. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, proceed with your recommendation and continue with the rebase and push. Okay. Cool. Like as of like 5 months ago, agents were not good enough, in my opinion, for dealing with merge conflicts, but now they are far better than humans. Yeah, Oliver, I've seen the T3 code thing. You're talking about the inbox. That's a really nice interface. I think that, yeah, it seems really interesting. And yeah, Theo said that everyone else should go copy it. Yeah, with settle. Like, yeah, archive is like a similar thing. We'd probably call it archive. Anyone else tried that inbox? How is it? Like, have you actually used it for like, working with this many things? Like, have you, used it for real? I would love to hear people's feedback if so. All right. Cool. Okay, that makes sense. It's just gonna remove the mobile specific stuff. And those tests are pretty dumb. Remove this test. Okay. There we go. Let's try it out. This is something where I might not trust the agent to try it out itself, because with things like an agent browser, like it being able to mimic different devices is not that reliable. So, I'll try it out myself. So here, it's amp with an amp, very meta. Okay. There we go. So yeah, we're on a narrow screen. Here, I'll close the sidebar so we have more width. Okay, there. Yep, that looks good. And then if it gets a little bit narrower, beautiful. Okay, looks good. Cool. Okay, so for those of you who on desktop have very skinny windows of AMP, you are in luck. Okay. There we go. Okay, they have not yet gotten back to that. Okay. What next? What should we do next? Here. Yeah, we can kick this one along. I've pushed a lot of work to change how we specify fast mode from being per provider to now using the features input. So rebase against latest origin main, and also look at my in progress thread related to fast mode and redo the code to work with that. Ideally, we'll be able to do this a lot more simply after those changes. All right. This is fixing a bug where we found in some cases it didn't include the co-authored by. Let's see. Yeah, I'll check that later. It's okay. Let's check here. This is that AST grep rule to remove trivial functions. Well, I mean, okay, that's kind of a dumb one. This is a dumb change as well. We're just aliasing the function. So why did we make this fix? Did anything about the AST grep warning message tell you to make this fix? I would prefer that you just inline this and use the single function name. I mean, overall, this looks good, but yeah, there's another one. Here's another dumb example. Okay. Validate. Yeah, I mean, that's weird too. This was rewritten to an even dumber and more trivial wrapper, or maybe less trivial, but dumber wrapper. Okay, we'll just give it that input. See how it does with that. All right. What else is there to do? Yes, okay, let's check this. Okay, that's good. Okay, let's add Polysans as another homepage preload. Okay. I'm wondering why it actually did that. Why did you add this import? Okay, close. That'll be a nice speed up. If anyone has any other bugs or quick feature requests, then send them over. We can get them kicked off. I'll probably stop recording in a few minutes here, so get them out before we turn this off. I should probably just turn on fast mode at all times when I'm streaming. I think that'd be better. The fixes that we're doing, this fast mode thing should help with that, make that easier to do. All right. Got that guy. Oh, here's a fun one we can look into. Want to make the thing that shows up when you're dictating a little cooler. So I had it make me a few more candidates of what this could look like. So let's pull it up. Let's see. All right. Yes, there. Trailing bars. That's cool. Quiet to live fade. Consistent weight. Ribbon. Okay, let's see. Make it so that there's another variant that's like the ribbon, but the soft filled signal is exaggerated bars. I don't know exactly what that means, but let's give it a try. Add another variant that has some kind of 3D waveform effect. Like render it as 3D. I don't know what that would mean, but try to think of some cool things. Again, the agent's time is not precious. Your time is. And if you can have the agent do a lot of work, and if you can look at it and pretty quickly see if it looks good, then that's a good kind of thing. You can get a lot of benefits there. Make it so I can try these with an actual dictate button next to them that actually starts recording, and just use the whole voice input thing there so that I can actually speak into it and see what it would look like for real speaking. All right. These will be cool to look at. Yeah, I'll put this on fast mode too. And actually, I'll say I want to like have it always fast mode. Make it so that after we merge the fast mode changes that we are working on to make it so fast mode is pass through features fast, that the fast mode setting in the web UI is sticky, so that if I last specified it, then it applies for the next thread I do as well. That's been requested by a lot of people, and I would want it. Just make it easier to use fast mode. Fast mode used to be a lot faster for at least OpenAI. Now the improvement in speed that it gives is a lot less, according to our numbers. But man, I mean, they must be under so much load now. All right, let's see, Nojup. Oh, thank you. Yeah, we've got a bunch of these hats. They just arrived. We'll find a way to make it so people can get their hands on them. All right, not sure. I'm reading the Nojup message. Not sure if this has been fixed. When a parent thread spawns several orb threads, the replies sometimes steer the parent and sometimes just sit in its queue. Okay, so the child threads can send the message as steering. If you're seeing them not, then it means they're choosing not to. So what would be really helpful here is if you can, in the parent thread, do a generate diagnostic report and send us that AMP report ID, then we will take a look and figure out how we can nudge it in the right way or what other primitives we can give it. I've seen that happen a couple times, and I think there's improvements we can make. So yeah, that, we need to guide the model to making the right choice when it says whether it should or shouldn't steer whoever it's sending that message to. So we'll send that. And I think you all have realized that if you send over an AMP report ID and help us with feedback, then we will almost always send back some free credits. So thank you. Thanks to everyone who sends those over. Okay, let's see how some of these actually look. Oh, I guess it's gotta work on that guy. Here, I'll have it steer. I don't need it to go through the whole check process because it's just something visual. If people have any feedback on what they think of these, if any of them look cool, then let me know. Speak up. Which one is the 3D? The wave stack. Let's see. Is that 3D? No, I wanted it to be actually 3D. Instead of the wave stack that's not actually 3D, actually render something in 3D and show it. Okay, let's see what it's got for us. Oh, yeah, occasionally when you're using your ChatGPT sub, that'll happen, but we retry. So no hands, it continued. That's good. Oh, cool. Okay, so now I can try these. Let's try, I don't know, the Ribbon one seems kind of cool. Hello, testing. Hello. Beep, beep. Hello, testing. It doesn't feel like quite there. Hello, testing. Hello, testing. No, it doesn't feel. Hello, testing. Hello, testing. Testing, hello. I think this trailing bars. Hello, testing. I don't know, kind of, it's a weird effect. It doesn't seem that smooth. Hello, testing. That one is weird. Testing, hello. Yeah, that's super weird. Okay, none of these are that good. Testing, hello. Yeah, these are definitely not that good. Now, let me see the actual one. Hello, testing. Hello, testing. Okay, there's something about like, make it so that the frame rate is higher on these animations. They feel a little bit like jittery almost. And I think my favorite is the trailing bars right now, but there's something that just feels lower quality about it than even the one that we have now. We'll see what it has for us. We'll pop it in this guy. Okay. Why were no client source maps found? And is that a problem that we need to fix before shipping this? Okay. Here's something we've been thinking about adding the ability for AMP to make video. So we will add support for Runway, and I think that Runway is probably the best one. Create a new orb thread in high mode to add support for Runway. And I think the way that we should do it is make it so that there's a Runway. No, we should give the agent guidance in the system instructions that there is a Runway API at, and then give a URL that is on our servers that proxies the Runway API, and make it so that it performs billing and deducts credits from AMP users based on the actual credit consumed on the Runway API. And also say that the authentication needed for that is something that the executor would have. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Why not make it a skill? Yeah, we could make it a built-in skill. Let's see. Hey, thanks. This is helpful to have other people on. Or consider making it a built-in skill for video generation. Present to me a few options, actually, before creating a new orb thread for the best way to implement it. All right. Thank you. Thank you, the Jancraft. Okay, let's see what we got over here. A few more options. Oh man, that 3D one it looks pretty tacky. We'll see. Oh, that is so tacky. Hello, testing. Hello. Yeah, there's no way. That one's not that good. Okay, this one, I think the higher frame rate makes it look better. Hello, testing. Hello, testing. Testing, hello. Hello, testing. Okay. Yeah, that one looks good. Hello, testing. Hello, testing. I think. Yeah, let's try one more. Make one that looks kind of like DNA with solid strokes on top and bottom, and then the bars in the middle. It's my final idea, but I think that the trailing bars is basically what we have, just with a little bit of cleanup for anti-aliasing. And I think that is probably looking a lot better for now. Well, but let's see what it's got. Here. Just reloaded. Hello, testing. Testing, hello. For the DNA one, make the strokes thinner and exaggerate the waveforms and add ticks that are closer together. Basically make it so that it looks like the trailing bars, but with strokes on top and bottom that are pretty faint, but solid. Okay, let's see how that guy goes. Yeah, it'd be cool if there was a way to incorporate the orb theme. Let's see. Use the animated orb concept and what we have in the CLI to show the animated orb, and try to come up with a waveform that harkens back to that. Let's see what it can do. Okay, let's pop back here. Okay. Why would the removal of that break source maps? It makes me nervous that we're getting into weird behavior there. Let's see how this guy's going. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, definitely seems like an improvement. It's a good idea from someone here on the stream to add this AST grep rule. And let's see if one other thing I need to make sure is if we had comments that were on one of these, let's see. I actually, what I don't like here is it felt like this is like a business logic thing that just so happens to map to one other thing. So I don't want, I don't like in that case. And I think the difference is that there's like a comment there. In this case, I would actually like to keep the can workspace allow training mode function because this is a business decision. The business logic just happens to map to the logic of another single function. I think the way that we can distinguish this is there's a pretty significant JS doc here. And in either case, this is something where I would hope that even if the AST grep rule flagged this, that the model would realize that this should be an exception to the AST grep rule. So figure out what you need to rewrite about the AST grep rule and the warning or error message so that the model would know what to do in this case and would not remove this and therefore make it harder to understand what our product and business decisions are in the code. Okay, yeah, I feel good about that. What I don't feel good about is that little screenshot or thing I took a screenshot of, the scroll bar that goes over that ... So caught a screenshot of that. In the inline comment component, if the comment is tall enough that it scrolls, then the scroll bar is shown like overlaid or underlaid on the dot 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 menu. Make it so that the inner text area actually has padding, or I think padding, so that the scroll bar appears on the far right side of the visual container and does not cover up or show up under the dot dot dot. And show me a screenshot to prove it. There we go. All right. I feel like I've done like 12 or 15 commits by now. Kind of fun. Okay, I want to go look at the waveforms, see what it's got for me. See what it has orb related. This DNA one, I don't know, man. That looks like something in like Jurassic Park, the movie. Oh, but that orb feel, actually. Hey, that looks pretty cool. Oh, what do you people think about this orb field one? Okay, let me just see what it's got for this one first. I love that it put a random orb here. Hello, testing. Okay, yeah, that's a safe one. Hello, testing. Okay, that looks bad. That's like, yeah, that looks bad. I think, yeah, it's like for the DNA one, make it so that if the level is 0, then you don't see the ticks in between at all. It's just a straight line. Hello, testing. Testing, hello. Hello, testing. For the orb field one, make it so that instead of the brightness being the most at the center, the brightness is most at the far right side where it starts and emanates from. Hello, testing. All right. Martin, thank you for the feedback. You find AMP Workspace is a little bit confusing, especially how the billing works. Yeah, would love to hear, more specifics, how that violates your mental model. The way that it works is if you're in a workspace, all billing goes through the workspace. So we want to make that simple, but would love to hear where that's confusing, where that's not coming through, or if that's not how you want it to work, then what you would want instead. And if other folks have feedback, then please keep it coming. Are there any other places where this bug might occur? And also add some guidance to the agent in the server/agents.md file to warn it about this case so it doesn't make this mistake in the future. Also, is it possible that it could make this mistake and there'd be some like really bad consequence that it would not be caught? Okay. Also, I noticed another thing here. It's weird how binary is lowercase and white, so let's fix that. In the Get Changes panel, if a file is renamed, then it's shown in muted in all capitals. If it's binary, it's shown in foreground and not capitals. Fix this. I think that if it's binary, it should be shown in muted, and it should just have BIN, and those should be all capitals, not the full word binary. And show me a screenshot. Okay. Oh, Martin, yeah, you can still use your Codex subscription. We differentiate between like model these subscriptions. You can still use that. That's not billing because I guess in a way this means that you don't have to pay, and so it feels like billing related. But if you have one of these set, then it's going to use this regardless of what's in your workspace. So I would love to hear how we could make that clear or obvious, even if that means like trashing a bunch of the concepts or the way that we present them or something. And thank you for the feedback here. All right, I think we're getting close on a better waveform. And then everyone who's watched this, every time they use dictation, which I think should be a lot, you will know that you played a part in this. All right. Hello, testing. Okay, it's a lot cooler. I'm not sure about the background though, but I do like the dot matrix. In the orb field one, remove the gradient background and just keep the dot matrix, but make it so that the dots on the right side have a very slight glow effect that diminishes as they go to the left, in addition to their overall dimness growing as they go to the left. Okay, let's see what it recommends here. This is getting some video stuff. Built-in skill. Yeah, okay, there. Okay. Cool. We need a reservation primitive. Okay, yeah, because I guess you could do a video generation that costs like $10, but it might fail. And yeah, I wonder how we do a reservation primitive. That sounds a little painful. All right. Then let's see. Generate media. See what the difference is. Here, I'll ask it some other follow-ups. For option 1, is the API structure that you're proposing, does that mimic Runway's actual API? Or is that just mimicking the concepts in their API and we would transform the requests? And that might in theory be nice because then we could swap in other providers. Actually, that's not really a desirable thing. All right. Yeah, so Martin, your question about multiple subs, you can have multiple subs as a user, and a workspace is really for like working with other people. So if it's just you don't need a workspace, actually. You can have multiple ChatGPT subs. You can actually have 2 total, and you can swap between them. So in this case, like I do have 2, this one and this one. What I would do is I can just, switch from one to the other. And one could be work, one could be your personal. Whichever one is active is used for all inference that's going on in your account. So it's not as though if you start a thread, then keep using that same one. I know that there's people that want that behavior. We made it a little bit better now that you have 2, and we can improve that behavior. But this should help a lot. So like after you go home from work, you can switch off the work one, you can activate the personal one, and you can even do this through the CLI. Here, if you do amp config model providers, there, that helps you, switch those off. You can get a list here, you can activate or deactivate, and so on. So I think that should help. If that doesn't work for you, then let me know, either here or you can, email us or post on X or whatever. So you do want to share with your team. Yeah, so each person would just go to their personal their personal model provider settings and add in their ChatGPT sub. There's some people, I don't know if this is what you're asking, but there's some people that say they want to share their ChatGPT sub with their whole team, but you can't do that. That runs afoul of OpenAI's terms of service. So each of the users would just put in their ChatGPT sub in their user account here. Does that answer your question? Okay, I'm excited. Let's go back and check this one out. Testing, hello? Testing, hello? Testing, hello? All right, what do you guys think of this orb field? You like it better than, here, this one? Testing, hello? Testing, hello? I think it looks a lot better. Testing, hello? Testing, hello? Yeah, Martin, let me know what we can do to make it so you wouldn't forget to switch. If it means like showing something in the title bar or down there, we can make that possible. Someone also made AMP plugin using our plugin API, and here I'll pull this up to actually check before each operation if they have the right one activated for their current workspace. So you can do that. And the plugin API, the nice thing about it is you can just have AMP build a plugin for you. But let me know what would help so that you would not be worried about forgetting to switch. All right. Use the orb field and remove all the other ones that you tried. Remove the current one and clean up the storybook as well. Okay. We have a new waveform, folks. Because this is visual, I'm just going to ship it. I trust it. Hugo's asking, does AMP show which runner it's using for a given thread? I think so. Let's give it a try. This is my runner on my M5. Oh, I see, Martin. So you want to basically choose your subscription here. I see why you want that. I worry about that getting you in trouble with OpenAI if you had two concurrent subscriptions in use. I think that's a big no-no from them. So I know that would be possible, like using a CLI. I think the way that we'd want to solve that is just the fast account switcher, actually. This is probably the best solution for you there. Actually, something we showed earlier on in the stream where AMP will let you switch accounts really easily. That then, each of them is totally independent. You then, if you legitimately have two different like subs, then they each could be running in parallel. I think that is, let me know if you think that would solve the problem for you. All right, and Hugo, let's see. Does it show the runner? So it does down here. I think it feels like it, could be helpful to show it here because we show the orb size. And I think a lot of people probably would look there and they wouldn't think to look there. So let me, here, just to compare the orb running and the price there. Let's add that. If a thread is a runner thread or a local CLI thread in the web UI, then I want to show that in the ... menu in the thread title bar in the same place that we would show it if it was an orb. Show me a storybook, show me screenshots of it with the different variants of either that whole menu in ... already opened, or just the relevant ones that I talked about, and make it so that the contents of that drop-down menu are in a different component file if possible, so that the storybook doesn't need to do a lot of hacks to show it expanded. All right, Hugo, thank you. We will I'll kick that off. Good call. And I wonder then if we even need to show it down there. If we're showing it up there, I think we might want to remove it from there. Also, now that we're showing it up in the ... menu and we still show it as an icon in the sidebar, remove it from the prompt editor. That's a nice simplification, but you'll need to ensure that we show all the same information we show in the prompt editor for a local CLI thread or a runner thread in the ... menu, like including the branch and the working directory. We don't necessarily need to show that always. If there's a compact way you can think of to show that, it could also be in a submenu or something that they click and then open a small dialog to see. Show me that as well in your storybook and screenshot. Oh man, I like when I can remove things from this like very high traffic part of the UI. So good idea. All right, here's another one we got. Rename bin. Yeah, that looks good. Changes look good. Yep. All right, ship it. Nice little consistency improvement. I'm feeling pretty productive as I'm doing this. So thanks for everyone tagging along. I'm just going to keep going for as long as I feel productive and keep the feedback. Oh, hey, Kevin. Yeah, keep the feedback coming. Actually, I'm curious now if the GPT transcribe changes are in. So let's try it. Here, I want a way to prove it. So I'll just start an orb thread. The reason why it's kind of very internal, but if you're doing transcribe in the new thread dialog, then we don't associate it with the thread because the thread is not created yet. So I want to be able to show you the pricing page that shows GPT transcribe instead of GPT transcribe 4.0. So now that the thread has been created, let's try and see if we're using GPT 4.0. I think we could probably check this in like the dev tools, but it's more fun to actually give it a try. So supposedly it does a better job at like other languages. So let's try that again. All right. We will say, hello, this is English. 你好，这是中文。Hola, este es español. C'est français. Oh, I thought I started dictation. Let me try that again. Hello, this is English. 你好，这是中文。Hola, este es español. C'est français. Ah, pretty good. All right, and now we will see if it got this correctly. GPT transcribe, hot dog. It did it. This is the new model. All right, and that transcription cost me 1/5 of a penny. All right, pretty cool. Yeah. Hopefully my accent, my Putonghua accent was passable. Okay. One thing that a lot of people might not know is keyboard shortcuts. This has been like a personal passion of mine. We have good keyboard shortcuts in AMP. If you don't like them, then tell me. Actually, gosh, I did not know that we show all of those. I think that's yucky. Okay, I'm going to fix that. But keyboard shortcuts like Option Enter, actually just added Command N to do this. There. Oh, great. Another thing we just fixed in this live stream, it doesn't have that layout shift. I don't want to show all of the Command or Mod N things in the keyboard shortcuts help. But we got like a lot of keyboard shortcuts. Hide them from this view. And you can customize them. So I will do the Command, comma, keyboard shortcut to go here. Keyboard shortcuts. And look, here you go. You can customize all of these. So you can mostly use AMP just in the keyboard. All right. Kevin, @ mentions in here. I regret to inform you, actually, until yesterday, we had at to mention a thread. We actually removed that. Why did we remove it? It's like it was so rarely used. I think that it's so rarely used, and usually the model can get by without it. And it turns out that it adds like a lot of complexity. So try to get by without it. Use dictation, just like vaguely refer to which file you want. I think that you're going to be able to get pretty far that way. And if really you're not, then please let us know. All right. Oh, you're an at user? I'm sorry. Have you noticed its removal? We might add it back here. Might add something there. Yeah, it was used by like a tiny fraction of people. All right. So yeah, new dictation is working. Hey, Harish. Yeah, I think that we could do plugins, but the problem is like any kind of at mention menu, it seems like easy to do. It's actually like the hardest thing to do ever in computer science somehow. And it's so easy to make it janky. You need to do so much to make it so that it is really fast. It's cached. It has good fuzzy finding. It has all the right ignores. It does the right stuff about observing changes and immediately picking things up. There's so many things that you have to get right to make it really smooth. And I swear, like, you know, when we've had that kind of UI in the past, it's been like 10 to 15% of all the work. So it would really make us happy if we don't need to do that. And I think that models are good enough where we don't need to do it. It's also something where nobody on our own team has really lamented its absence. Okay, good. So this is going back to this thing that's going to make our initial bundle size 50% smaller, which is a huge win. It's going to make our app load the first time a lot faster. And I feel confident that it's not hacky and it will not silently fail. Oh, thank you, Brett. So now if you share one of your subscription gift links with somebody, they're not going to see your email address. Let's give it a try with one of mine. There we go. No more email. Cool. Thank you, Brett. All right, Hugo, by chugs, do you mean it moves slowly? Okay. Let's see here. We got, oh, nice, little JS doc thing. How many other things did you designate as an at intentional wrapper? Oh, thank you. The hat. Yes, we'll get the hat out to a lot more folks. All right. Yeah, Brett. I think Brett and Tim are working on making a swag store. Check through all the changes you made for any other things that merit the designation of intentional wrapper, where it's actually business logic that just so happens to map to one other existing function. Martin, theme settings. We have never had theme settings in the web UI. If you're talking about the CLI, we did remove theme settings from there. But in the web UI, we follow your OS. All right. Yeah, Jonas, I would love to see what you have in mind there. Okay, haven't seen Tim and Brett. Hey, Brett, if you see this, go in and weigh in here on what you think messages should look like. I know we were just talking about that on Slack. All right. What is this? Oh, yeah. This is, show me a screenshot of it. This is a thing that a lot of people want, which is where if your ChatGPT sub is linked, then you'll have something that's like medium plus plus that uses the higher effort levels of GPT 5.6. It's a big request. And if you're wondering, no, we didn't omit it because we were greedy. We just omitted it because we didn't know how to fit it in with a dial. And we don't want high to mean different things depending on like what subscriptions you have, because that just is really complex. Can you request a 1 month megawatt free, please? Yeah, sure. Here, let's see. Can you grant the user whose name is Akram Ahmed $22 in free credits? Okay. I don't know if you're expecting that. We'll see. We do have a way for the agent to grant free credits. We limited it to $50, though. You don't think that'll work? What? We'll see. How about if it works, then Kevin's got to give you some free credits too. All right. Yeah, that's nice. This seems, I mean, I'm pretty confident it's going to work. Like, I would not really need to go test this. So we'll ship that. Here, let's see. How many threads have I archived in the last 2 hours? Just see how productive we've been. Oops. Uh-oh, did escape? Did that cancel it? This is maybe a regression. Let's see. I want to escape out of Puck. Yep. Okay, that's a regression. That's bad. See, in Puck, usually escape will cancel it, but in Puck, usually people want escape to mean close Puck. So, Brett, if you are watching, then if you have opinions, please speak up, let me know. But otherwise, I'm going to say, yeah, hey, 22 threads in the last 2 hours. That's like 22 things merged. I'm going to say, make it so that if the user has Puck open in the web UI and they press escape, instead of it canceling the agent's turn, it closes Puck. And document this explicit intent as a product decision in the code somewhere so that we don't regress, because we've already regressed once. If the user really wants to stop the Puck turn, they need to click or tab over to the explicit stop icon. Okay. Well, Akram, help me out here. Do you have a username or a user ID? All right, let's see. How much money in AMP credits as dollars have I spent in the last 2 hours across all of the threads that I've worked on, all the credit consumption in the last 2 hours, just for my user? All right, Kevin, I'll get you that answer. And there we go. Let's see. Gosh, people think this wouldn't work. There. So $22, that's enough for you to go and start a month of Megawatt. It's $20, but gave you a little bit extra. All right. There you go. Are you that surprised that that works? Why are you that surprised that that works? Yeah, if other people want credits, remember this gives a maximum of 50. Why is there a tool for that? I'll tell you why. Because when people, which we love, they send us one of these AMP report IDs, what we do is we say, fix this, and also give the nice user, I don't know why I'm typing instead of dictating, so that we can just streamline the process of having it go fix something and grant people free credits. So if you've ever gotten those emails that say you got a free credit, it might come from us doing this workflow. we make tools for these things just whenever there's something manual. And as we've seen, even in a few places here, it's been really helpful to have people like propose other ideas, like that AST grep rule that, like, 30 minutes ago someone proposed. Even though our mindset is always thinking, how can we automate this thing more and more and more and more and more? It's still easy to miss things that we could automate. So actually, that's, I guess, one cool thing about this stream. I'll probably get more awesome ideas. All right. Here we go. So let's see how much money I have spent in the last 2 hours. Zach, that email at Gmail is pretty. Well, 50 free credits is only 50 cents. So I don't know if you would want that. Here we go. So in the last 2 hours, I consumed about $22. They came from my subscription. I'm a subscriber. I hope all of you are. If you're not, I'll give a plug to go and subscribe. There you go. I think it's the best deal on this side of the internet. Go and subscribe. So yes, I'm a subscriber. And then in addition, I'm also on our free tier. Although, as I've told people on Discord, we're going to be rolling that into our subscription, giving people free megawatt instead of free tier. I've consumed that. So $22. Not bad. Paul, is it intentional that secrets added in project settings are displayed in plain text? Yes, it is. Like, you're not able to see the secrets from the web UI, but the agent needs to see the secret values. So, there's really no way to prevent the secrets from being visible. You could also ask the agent to repeat the secrets. With this kind of thing, it's a judgment call. Maybe we should obfuscate it there, but we don't want to make it seem as though there's some secret way that we withhold the secrets from the agent. We want to make it clear that, like, yes, the agent does have the secrets. There's a lot of work that we're doing, though. This came up earlier to, let me pull up our news, to make it so that the agent has only temporary secrets. This is a much better pattern than giving it like fixed secrets through like the web UI. This is a much better pattern, and we're promoting this heavily. We want to give you a lot of patterns to use this yourself. So that will be much better, because then, yes, the agent will still have a secret, but it'll be a very time limited and capability limited secret as well. All right. Kevin, what's the plan to deploy monorepo? I mean, AMP itself is a monorepo with the front end and back end. And, I've shown myself using the portal a lot for it. So portals are very flexible. They should be able to support that. We're adding a few things to make them even better. One thing is custom domains. Here, I'll show that off. Some people want to make sure that their portals only run over their own domains. So that will be in soon. You'll be able to do like, this DNS thing. And if there's any other things that people encounter as blockers when using portals to run their full app, then let us know. We're kind of on a mission to kill local dev. And by that we mean make it so you don't want to use local dev. Because in the last month, we feel like our workflows have changed more in the last month than they did all of last year, even though they changed a lot all of last year, because we moved away from local dev. Cool. I see people like custom domains. Yeah, we'll get that out here. I'll pin that. Again, we need to make this sidebar much better, but yeah, pinning is how I keep track of the things that I'm actively working on. All right. Keep the requests coming, folks. Here. Yeah, so that's what, that icon is super weird, but this is what you'll be able to do if you're on a ChatGPT sub. If you want to make Medium use like higher effort. So that's a big request from folks. All right. What else? I will use this opportunity to show. I would imagine people watching this have checked this out. There's some really cool things here. So let me turn on apps. And you can actually, we've shipped some of the custom domain stuff. So I don't know, that's kind of, I got to explain something first. First, let me show off desktop because it's just kind of cool. If you have an orb thread, you can go to desktop and I will make that take full screen. If you don't want to use the portal or the terminal to interact with the orb, which is just a Linux machine, then you can run Chrome. And this is Chrome running in like a Wayland or X Windows server on the orb itself. In some cases, this is helpful, especially if you're like troubleshooting your portal and you want to access it directly through localhost instead of through like a proxy. I think there's probably also some like web automation stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's not running on localhost, but you could access that. And then we've also added a few other kind of fun things here. I don't know if anyone likes Quake, but you can play Quake in your orb, and then when your boss comes by, you can switch back to the changes panel, and they'll have no idea. Turns out that Quake over VNC does not work all that well. But yeah, there's just an experimental features that anyone can get to. It's very sensitive. Maybe you would prefer a game like Tux Racer. So yeah, the way I got here is just went to my user settings, advanced, and turned on the desktop feature. Here we go. Anyone else play Tux Racer? Don't worry, we won't spend that much time on this. Just get a few fish. All right. Cool. And then the apps feature. This is another thing that depends on portals. And as I've said, there's a few things that we got to improve about how portals work before we want to ship them. But it lets you basically take a portal, like a thread, and if there's something that you can access through a portal, like any server that a thread is running, you can turn that into an app. And here's like a really simple, dumb one. This is just a thread where I said, go and make like a web server that shows an HTML page. When I click a button, it like shows animals crossing. So we are working on making the portals faster. But here, unleash a stampede. There you go. And you can open this in a new window. And the URL is like that. And there you go. And anyone who can see the thread can access it, or you can make it so that any AMP user period can access it. I'll show you what that looks like. So here. And soon we'll make it so that like anyone on the internet can access it. Just bots are kind of a problem. And we've already done some of the custom domain stuff for, amp.onamp.dev. Turns out there's a lot of DNS stuff you got to do even just to get that. So we'll have real custom domains soon. We'll share more about where we think this is going, but I think that this is another really interesting primitive and makes it so that threads become even more powerful. But it takes a while for people's minds to get there. So we'll walk people there. Okay, I'm just gonna go back to being productive in AMP. So you all are along for the ride. Thanks for joining in. This is where escape in Puck killed it instead of closing it. There we go. That makes sense. Stop on escape. All right, let's see what this comment. Escape. Okay, this is where I'm gonna actually check with Brett because he was working on this. DM Brett and me on Slack and tell him that I think that Puck should not stop its turn when the user presses escape, but it should close Puck. This means that if the user wants to stop Puck, they need to click the stop button. But I want to check with Brett to make sure he did not have explicit intent otherwise. Okay. You know, folks, just being able to say stuff like that to an agent has been the dream for a while, but it's reliable now. And that's like really cool. What I haven't shown is I haven't needed to do some things where it's like after this thing is merged, then do this. But that's also a really powerful thing. And we've given AMP a few of the right primitives so that it can do that. Yeah, I'm not going to give free credits to myself, but that was an example you can see. Again, close those. All right. This was an awesome feature request, basically making it so that if there's an executor, like a runner thread or a local CLI thread, then it shows in the menu here, like it would for orbs. And this is a good idea. So, AMP runner connected, orb running. Let's see. Like for the orb running one, I want it to show the name of the ID of the runner in the same row and make it so that when you hover over or focus that row, then it shows a submenu with additional information. And also in the storybook, show me what it looks like for the orb as well, because none of the examples you have show when it actually knows the size of the orb. Okay. The chat, I like lost the chat for a little bit. Oh, there, I see it now. All right, Hugo, you say there's a bug with usage estimation. You're seeing that even though you have plenty of credits. If basically it's like if you use up in like 5 days, like 30% of your subscription quota, then it's going to give you that warning. If you say you have plenty of credits like outside of your subscription otherwise, it's still talking about just the subscription pacing. So maybe that's confusing, but let me know what that situation is. I'm just reading the rest of the chat because it wasn't updating for me for a little bit. All right. Cool. All right. We fixed some bugs around AMP and reloading secrets. So I'll just check on that. Actually, oh, see, we have the new waveform that we made. Oh, that looks so good. But I'll need to escape to restart dictation. Okay. And folks, again, if you're not using dictation, use it. It's Command-Shift-D or Control-Shift-D in AMP, and it saves you so much time. It's the best way to get information from your head to the agent. I'll say, I know that we recently fixed an issue where if you updated project secrets or user secrets or workspace secrets, it would apply to an orb thread, then it would not be reloaded in the orb. See what the status is of that fix and tell me if it should like totally work. All right. I did notice something weird, which is like the waveform seemed to be like jumping a little bit. I don't know if anyone else noticed that. So start a new thread and investigate an issue where it seems like the waveform that we just added for the dictation occasionally like jumps or jitters. Try to diagnose why that is. Maybe it's like UI refresh or quest animation frame related. Try to reproduce it with video of that component, and also spin up an orb and send me a link to the storybook so I can try to reproduce it myself. If needed, we can go back to lower frame rate for it. There we go. Cool. Okay. I think I've cleared out a bunch. Oh, Figma. Yeah. I just pinged Figma again. Like, we're approved for the remote MCP thing, but it's been a little bit slow getting them to like approve this other app. It's like this whole process. So pretty soon you'll be able to use the Figma like remote MCP with AMP. I hope this week, and we'll post it out. I think that you can use the local Figma MCP with AMP right now. Figma is one of the very few that like limits who can use their MCP to only a subset of agents, and they want like co-marketing and stuff. Yeah, there's a test flight here. I'll share it here. Just go to ampco.com/app. There you go. There's definitely some known issues. So like what doesn't work? Dictation doesn't work. It works in Mac OS, not in iOS. We just need to publish another build. Passkeys don't work. So we're working on that. But yeah, ampco.com/app. Don't share that beyond this because we don't want to be inundated with feedback, since we know a lot of things that we already really want to fix right now. Okay. Let's see. It's actually kind of strange to me that this started. Yeah, okay. I think it got confused because in the thread, I told it to start a new thread. So literally what it did was correct. I think that this is actually my fault, and I don't want to try to prompt the agent. Does that make sense? Basically, I made a new thread, and then it went and immediately made another new thread. But I'll give it a break because I told it start a new thread. Here we go. That one's running now. Let's pop back in on this. This is a nice improvement. Nice idea for automation proposed by someone here. Yeah, that makes, I'm just going to spot check some of these. It's actually interesting. I noticed that my computer is a lot slower because I'm doing the streaming, and it's like HD video stream and composites and all that. So I'm noticing some extra jitter in the UI. It's actually good for me to experience that. Okay. Like there, that was slow. Akram, we don't have AMP ambassadors, but if we did, I, of course, would say yes. If you have an idea of what an AMP ambassador would do, then let us know. We're open to, ideas. Yeah, I mean, if you want to throw something, we're happy to. We can make a bunch of like offers and things that let people redeem free credits. So, yeah, just shoot us an email if you want to try stuff like that. That offer goes for everyone. All right, this seems fine so far, and I'll just check. In all the changes that you made, are there any runtime changes to the behavior that will happen? That's actually a good question that I ask, and the model does a pretty good job of that. All right, when using a existing runner, AMP shows the previous diff. What AMP shows when you have a runner is just the diff in the directory where it's running. So unless, like, it doesn't actually go and create a new work tree. We will make it do that, but until then, that's like the expected behavior, even though we know that's weird. So we really want to push people to using orbs, but we will do a little bit more to make it so that you can have a runner that knows how, when you spawn a new thread, to go make a work tree rather than all running in the same directory. Integrations for Teams and Outlook and Notion. Yeah, like AMP supports MCP, except there's one exception to that. In Orbs, we do not yet support OAuth MCPs. We are fixing that. Let's see if anything is fixed yet. Dario is working on that right now. Integrations, maybe, is it here? Nope. We've got Gmail. I think this is internal only. Try Workspace. Yeah, okay. I don't see it yet, but it is in progress. Oh, yeah. That's the other way. But yeah, anyway, that's in progress. And then you can use MCPs for those things. And then we're taking some of these things and making them like first class integrations. Oh yeah, our balance. Yeah, what is our look, I think this is just like, made up credits because it's our own stuff. But yeah, there's some much bigger balances that some companies have, which is pretty cool. I think there's a company with like more than $4 million USD as a balance. It's nice. People use a lot of tokens. All right. This was really fun. I felt really productive. I've got a lot of awesome ideas from folks. I think we fixed a lot of bugs together. If you got anything more, then speak now. Otherwise, I'm going to go and sign off for the night. We'll do this again soon. And thanks for tagging along. Thanks for all the great ideas. And enjoy the stuff that you now know that you played a part in shipping to AMP when you go use AMP. All right. I know there's a little bit of delay, so I'll give that just a minute. Linear integration will have, the OAuth MCP will support that in Orbs really soon. I don't think that there'll be a first class linear integration. I think linear is an awesome product, but it's not one that we use, and it's not a workflow that we think is like that kind of issue workflow in linear. It's not one that we think is the future. It's not. Yeah. So I don't think it'll be a first class thing, but MCP support for sure. All right. Thank you all. Hey, also, thanks to everyone for using AMP, for giving feedback. Please keep it coming. We care so much. We use the hell out of our own product, and anything that you see, we want to fix immediately. One more question. Is it expected that a thread can't read itself? Well, it can in compaction. I'm curious for what that use case is. Why don't you just, post it on X, and I'll look into that. This is from the user NoJup. I'll look into that case, and also curious, why you want it to do that. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining, for using AMP, for sending feedback, and have a good rest of your day. See y'all.